Welcome once again to the Curve-Unplugged. You are on the couch with Coach Kish. And tonight, our special guest in the studio is none other than your girl, Felicia Martin. Hey, Felicia.
Hey, Keish, girl, what's going on? Me and my technologically challenged self. How
So
you doing?
glad to have you. So glad to have you tonight.
I'm so glad to
Um,
be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's conversation, I know some dads chimed in and was like, well, what about dads? But tonight's conversation is entitled Mommy Guilt. And,
Mhm.
all other assorted mama stemmed from a conversation that Felicia actually started
Mhm.
on her page on Facebook. And it was just simply like, do you ever feel like you completely, totally failed as a parent? I'm
Just
paraphrasing here,
yes. No, that was it.
but that was what she wrote. And it was just like, I felt like she was reading my mind because I was having a similar experience when I looked at my son's grades for this semester, actually for the whole school year thus far.
Mhm.
And Felicia, you're the mom of one, correct?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I am the mother of two sons. So
Okay.
tonight's conversation is going to be, we're going to try to make it a little light, but understand that this is not the easiest conversation. For me, I know it is not an easy conversation to have. And I'm sure moms all around the state, the county, the country, the city, the block, your neighborhood, my neighborhood, all over the world
Mhm.
probably can relate to where we're headed tonight. And it's all about what do you do and how do we kind of reconcile with the things that just don't quite go right when you are raising children.
Good googly muggly. I don't even know if I'm qualified to have that conversation.
Now,
Currently.
well, you are a mom, so you are absolutely entitled to having this conversation.
Gotcha.
And for those of you who are tuned in tonight, again, welcome. And we want your comments. So please feel free to drop your comments. We're going to get to as many of them as possible, answering your questions. And we want you to, give us your feedback. Like, what has been your moment in motherhood that's been like, damn, did I really get that all wrong?
Okay. Yeah.
So let's just start at the beginning. Felicia,
Okay. Yes.
what did you imagine? Like, who did you imagine your son to be when you were pregnant with him? Like, what in your mind's eye did you imagine? Who did you imagine you were carrying in your womb when you were pregnant with your son?
Oh, that is a great question. Honestly, I wanted my son to be everything his father is, just with my brain.
Okay.
And we almost there.
Okay. We're almost there. So,
Because
what is
like
his father?
his,
What qualities does his father have
well,
that?
very charming, very personable. Knew how to balance being a man and being, sometimes he could be a bad boy if he needed to be. Just an all around good guy. And I just liked the way he carried himself. He was a man amongst men. So I really wanted my boy to have those type of characteristics as a man, but have, better sense and just a little bit more smarts like his mama. Just I figured since he had the benefit of both of us as his parents, maybe
Mhm.
get that.
Okay. Now, for me, with both of my sons, I imagined that I was kind of like carrying Barack Obama, even though I didn't know who Barack Obama was at the moment, because I just imagined having these two like truly amazing men
Uh-huh.
who were, leaders amongst their peers, who
Uh-huh.
self-starters and self-thinkers, like never really following the crowd. Because I
Uh-huh.
remember growing up, I had this desire to like be everybody's friend. Like I wanted everybody to want to be my friend when I was a little.
Right.
And I just, as I got older, I realized how little value that really held in my life. And I didn't want them to crave the approval of others. I wanted them to be okay with being different than
Hmm.
everybody else in the room. So I imagined my sons, like I would instill that in them, that greatness. And
Hmm.
like you said, in all the best qualities that their dads have, Just wanted them to have those amazing manly qualities and some of their mother's tenacity and, a little bit, even though this is a bad word for a man, but a little bit of my sass where they're like, I'm just looking at my shit, So that was kind of
just a little bit.
Exactly. Just a little snippet of that. To just make them all around just an amazing guy to know.
Mm-hmm. I really wanted Chase to be happy. And that he is. That he is. And, and that he is. And I also wanted him to feel encouraged if he wanted to dream. Because that was something that I could have Caribbean parents and you're not allowed to dream unless you're sleeping. So, you have to go to work. So I thought that if I was like everything my mom was, plus the stuff I thought she got wrong, that we'd be like 100% okay. You think that boy cares that I encourage him to dream? He don't have one.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of my questions that I wanted to get to. Like, what was that thing that you found your mom to be that you said, I'm not going to be that. When I become a mom, I'm absolutely not doing that right there.
My mother was quite demeaning. Like, she disciplined you and crushed your soul at the same time. I didn't think that was quite necessary.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
And she was a little out of touch with who I was as a kid. So I hope to think that I'm a little bit more in touch with Chase's age and at least try to be more so than she was. Her thing was like, I'm older than you and that's it. I'm 40 something. I'm not even trying to understand nothing that's going on in your 13-year-old life. Like, I don't care.
Okay.
Not at all. But I try to understand like the importance of him having certain clothes or going certain places or making sure certain things are done because I understand the dynamic of the life he's living now.
Okay. And again, I feel you on that. My mom I didn't feel like I could go to her and say what I was really feeling. If I had already deemed that it would be unacceptable in her eyes to even feel that way, I didn't feel like I could say it to her.
Yeah.
I always felt like when it came to my mom, you had to have your ish together or don't talk to her. Like, don't come to my mother real emotional.
Right.
She doesn't operate from that place. Yeah. So it was like, okay, yeah, that thing might have hurt your feelings, but by the time you get to mommy, you better add your face up and you better come here and tell me now what happens next.
Because that was a direct insult to how she raised you if you were not able to solve that problem. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I feel that way with Chase. There are times where I'm really like, what you mean you don't know? But then I have to ask myself, well, when did you tell him? Or do you think he's just going to like kind of raise himself? Like, there are some things that you may have to actually say out loud to this man. You can't assume just because he's here, just because he's your kid, that he knows. Right. It's kind of like, how you don't know this? Man, I don't. And it took me a minute to be like, oh, I guess he really just doesn't. Like, I didn't understand how I was spoiling him. Like, Chase doesn't have a concept of chores.
Oh, no.
Right, because it's always been like, it's been just me and him. So what we require is small. So it takes 2 seconds for me to pick something up. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't have like 4 kids to run after or a husband and a dog. Like, the house ain't dirty. Like, he cleaned his room. He cleaned the bathroom. I clean everything else, but he doesn't have every Saturday I wake up and I got to do this. He take out the garbage. You know what I mean? But like, if you ask Chase, what are your chores? He wouldn't answer you, but would you ask Chase, does he help around the house? He'll say yes. Meaning he does whatever I ask him to do, but he doesn't know, like, on Thursdays we do this, or on Tuesdays we do this. Like, in our house, when we were younger, I knew every Saturday morning it was strip this bed, get all the clothes to the washer, da-da-da-da. He doesn't have a concept of that type of schedule. Okay. And I think it's because he's the only kid, and it's just not that much to do. I think. But then I wonder, well, what's going to happen when he get around other people? Does he think it's going to miraculously happen? Like, uh-oh, should I have been making him do this stuff?
Does
Because
he
now he
know
about,
how to do laundry? Does he know how to do it?
yeah, I just got him on that 2 years ago.
Okay. Okay. So, I feel this way about that.
But the volition to do the laundry, the will, the see it and do it. Like,
But did you feel you had that at his age? Like when
oh
you,
yeah. Because the OG was a soldier. The OG.
but it was more like back then, there was such a demand on us to get it done. Like you said, Saturday morning, hell or high water, I was
Yeah.
going to hear the Temptations. And when you hear the Temptations, she used to be my girl. You know that meant get
Clean
the
up.
hell up. Good morning. Get my house clean. Get the bed stripped. Get this laundry started. Like you knew on Saturday morning when the music started,
Mm-hmm.
when Luther Vandross, and If This World Were Mine began to play, that meant me and my sister had to get the hell out of bed. Sometimes that was at 8 a.m. Sometimes it was at 9:30. Hell or high water, Saturday morning meant the house had to get head to toe, had to get clean.
Yeah.
But
The whole
one of those things I didn't want to do when I became a mom. Like I didn't feel that waking up at 8 a.m. on Saturday was a necessity. Like,
right.
why hell I can't sleep till noon?
Right. So you let your kids sleep till noon.
Exactly. And let them sleep until noon. And then we get up and the same laundry got to get done. It'll get done at 12 o'clock, 8 o'clock. It's still there. It's the same detergent, the same everything. So, but again, like you said.
But when your kids throw it back at you, when they say stuff like, Mama, it's the same laundry, it's gonna get done at 12 or 8. Then you wonder, what did I do? Wait a minute. Is that what he learned? And is that really what I wanted him to learn? I mean, that's something that I realized as an adult after being taught better. But damn, he just straight at that conclusion. You know what I mean? It's almost like we're giving them the adult game instead of letting them learn the game. I earned the right to feel this way.
Right.
And our kids kind of feel the way we feel without earning that right.
So with your mom, when she watches you with Chase,
Child.
So does she feel like you let this boy get away with highway robbery? Is that how she feels?
No. She blame everything on his daddy.
Okay.
She actually believes that she was too strict.
Oh, she believes she was too strict.
Okay, so they always get it together after we grown. Then they figure it out that you beat me for no reason, lady.
I was already scared.
Okay, so the guilt, because I was getting good grades.
Right, me too.
Keisha, I graduated high school at 16. I got out 2 years early. What else could you want? And I didn't get pregnant nowhere along the way.
No.
And she was still screaming me down 3 times a week. Why though? So anyway, so she's nice to the Chase. And
my mom often asks me, like, why don't you make them do this? Like, why don't they do it this way? If they did it this way, the way I made you do it, then you wouldn't be having this here particular problem with them right now. So my goal as a parent, I think a lot of parents, the goal is always to find the median. Like, how do I find that middle ground between being the tyrant that my mother was, or I felt she was, and being a parent who, like you said, I get the importance of him having certain things and being granted certain freedoms and certain privileges that I know for fact when I was growing up, my mother had that thing locked down. Like everybody talks about the Pac Jam. I can't tell y'all what the inside of Pac Jam looked like. I went there one time, and that's when I was at a sleepover with somebody else. And her mama came in the Pac Jam. We were there all of 30 minutes and whooped her butt in the Pac Jam. And then I was back outside. I don't know. I can't tell you nothing about Pac Jam.
But let me ask you, was your dad in the house?
No, my dad was not in the house. My grandfather and my uncles were.
I wonder, because the one thing I don't have that I do think I get from my mother is balance when it comes to parenting. And that's one of the reasons why I chose the type of child's father that I did. His
Mm-hmm.
temperament was very complementary to mine. So I felt like together we could do this, right? Because he was enough to be like, hey, chill. Like, no, that's not the way to do it. Plus, he grew up in a two-parent household, and his father was very good at what he did, and his mom was very patient. So I think I lost out in not having my own dad to kind of show me that patience. Because, like, guys don't always have to yell and scream to get things done. And I
Right.
think I never saw that. But I knew I didn't have that. So that's why I chose the daddy I did. I chose the father I did because I know he had that. But I
Okay.
forgot you to stay together. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
That's
So
there's some importance in that.
yeah, but I know I'm lacking that, and that's why sometimes I wonder, did you yell too much? Is he just like, screw it now because, that was just too much yelling? Or were you really lax because you didn't want to be a yelling mama? Like, when you going to find that medium instead of trying not to be too mean, but then
Right.
trying to be too lax? And it's not even about your kid liking you, it's you liking yourself as a parent. It's
Yes.
you being okay with the way you interacted with that person that day. Because the one thing I thought my mom always did is kind of forgot that we have love for each other sometimes in the way she would address me or talk to me. It kind of seemed like, you remember we related? Like, there's got to be a better way to say this. So
Yes.
sometimes I struggle with not trying to say it the wrong way because I can kill your self-esteem. And you don't want to do that to your kid. So sometimes I'm not enough because I don't want to be too much.
I think that within our age group, within our age range, I think a lot of moms feel that what you're saying. My
Yeah.
mother was the get out the mirror, you ain't cute kind of mama. You know,
What?
like, you
What?
know, you do you hear me talking to you? Answer me when I'm talking to you. Don't talk back to me. So then it was like, you never knew when you were doing the right thing. And I
Right.
didn't feel like I got complimented a lot.
But
Like,
you always knew when you were doing the wrong thing.
exactly. When
There
you
you
get
go.
good grades, you came in the house with a great report card.
It was
It wasn't
supposed to happen.
celebrated because it was supposed to be great.
Right.
You know,
But
so I,
let your dumbass brother get a C. Or it's a celebration. It's a celebration. We ain't gonna talk about it though. Go ahead.
so in those instances, I wanted to be celebrated more, and I think that as I started branching out on my own, and some of the mistakes I may have made in relationships, friendships included, can't kind of stem from being used to not being celebrated.
Yeah.
And because you were used to that, that was a norm. Then when you got in a situation with someone else and they didn't necessarily celebrate you, it didn't seem awkward. It
Hmm.
seemed like it kind of fell in line with everything else. So
Hmm.
parenting, I overcompensated sometimes because I was always wanting to celebrate my children when they did something right. But when it went wrong, I took that thing so hard. When I look at this report card, Felicia,
Mm.
my heart, I question myself. I don't question him first. I question me because if I'm your mama
Hmm.
and I know how to express myself, I know how to ask for help. I know I've said to you, if you need help,
Hmm.
talk to me. I'm here,
Hmm.
and you still come home with this report card. This the one you brought home.
Hmm.
Is it that you just could give less shit if you graduate or not? Or is it that you feel like, well, my mama has to figure this out? This is my best. Work with this because mommy said just do your best. So this is my best. Deal with it. When I see this report card, it is really that thing that makes me take a step back
Hmm.
and say, of all the things I critiqued my mother on and criticized her for being or not being, was all of that the reason why I was so successful in school? Because I didn't want to hear what was coming if I wasn't. And the
Now,
fact that I tried to be so, you know, flexible has resulted in this here damn report card I'm looking at.
that's a valid question. I think I did the wrong thing because I assumed he was gonna be like me. So
Hmm.
I did nothing. I did exactly what my mother did. My mother never helped me with school not once. That was my assignment. That was my job. Your ass better do it. So I did the same thing. That's your assignment. That's your job. You better do it. So when he first started getting bad grades, I was like, okay, maybe it's the teacher. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Okay, we 15 now. Ain't nothing changed. I'm like, okay. But in addition to the grades not changing, because he does have ADHD, so we thought maybe we could, get the medication and get that back, get that going, and maybe that would help. It's the total non-explanation for it. It's the, what do you mean you sat in your class and did nothing? Did you pick up the pen? Let's start there. When your conversation starts at the most elementary level, when it comes to a person's participation in their schoolwork, it's very disheartening because Keisha, you know me. You know I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And when my friends say to me, are you serious, V? Your kid? I just be like, okay. And that lack of familiarity, that lack of understanding, and not understanding the bad grades, understanding the why you not losing your mind behind these grades. Like, why aren't you flipping out and asking me for every tutor in the world? Like, right. The fact that you just go on and breathe and put your skinny jeans on and bop and dap, no, boy.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to invent some app that he just ain't tell me yet. I don't know, but he don't feel like nothing's wrong.
What's my greatest fear is that my children, both my sons, that they will live a life of struggle.
Yeah. Because
there's so many, for young men of color, there's already statistically, they're already beating the odds. Okay, so they're alive, they're not incarcerated, they're not strung out on drugs, and they don't have a record. So statistically, they're beating the odds in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. But then I say, well, what next? Like, what happens next? Because the life that it looks like you're signing up for is not one that's conducive to you dabbing and wearing Jordans. Like, it's not conducive to that, because you won't be able to afford them. So when you get to that place where financially it's all on you, now it's your turn to be accountable and responsible and the breadwinner for your own life. I'm not even talking about children or a woman, just for you. And you find how difficult it is to do even that. Like, then what? I don't know. Then what? Because mommy, unfortunately, can't live forever, and what happens when all you have is you?
I don't know. And they don't get it. But they're young. They think they're immortal. But my guilt comes from, I got 3 years left, and I'm kind of, how you kind of seeing what you've been doing all these years, and I don't know why their effort in school is such a reflection on my parenting. I don't know if that's unfair to myself. I don't know, because when you think about it, Keisha, we have great sons, good men of society, decent human beings, well-spoken, personality for days. Chase got 2 dimples, dark, all that in a bag of chips. Just can't pass math, Lord. But sometimes I wonder,
right?
Should you be upset? Should you be this level of upset? Like, is this fair to him? But then it's like, yo, it's school. But then when I tell you my boy's a 99, he's a 99. That is the one thing I complain about. I swear for God. If that boy got C's, I could buy him a car.
I know. Hello. Good evening, somebody. When you look at your child, and I know every parent, some parents I see stuff on the news that, Felicia, I promise you, I don't get how you mothered someone and you allowed this thing to happen to them. Like this most recent story where the girl, the mama and the boyfriend kills the little girl. The daddy is in court. He's crushed. I don't get how you brought her into the world to end her life. Like I don't get that. I can't wrap my mind around it in any way. And most recently, when the shooting happened at Stoneman Douglas High School, the fear that just ran through me on that day, because I think about those parents, and I'm sure you do too, that you got up on February 14th, you got up, and my son gets on the bus. So he got up on his own. He got dressed. He went out to the school bus. He went on to school. Mommy rolled the hell over because it wasn't time for me to get up yet.
Right, right.
And those parents, in that moment, they were thinking, what's for dinner? He needs to take this garbage out. He needs to walk the dog. And not knowing that day, whatever the last thing you said was really the last thing that was going to be said.
Right.
The end, and then that's all. We try to put our kids in a position like we were at Carroll City High at a time where we wasn't really worried about getting shot up so much. Like we wasn't really worrying about that. But these things don't even happen in those. But as I began to raise my own boys, I moved to Broward thinking I'm going to put them in a better situation when it comes to school so that they get more access to a better education and in a safer neighborhood. And then this happens.
Well, it is a relatively safer neighborhood. I mean, they have had one shooting
that resulted in 17 at a school, though, because
they definitely made up a long time.
There's been no shooting at Jackson, Northwestern, New Orleans. There's been no shooting at Carroll City. There's been none of this.
To your point about the last thing you say, going back to the mommy guilt situation, especially with women, our mouths are so cut.
Yes.
There are many times, like I told you, there are times when I pull back because I know where I can go. And since I've never really seen that medium, there are times when I just say nothing. So I rarely say icky shit. Because I will think it. I will think, what the fuck is wrong with Joe motherfucker? Just think it, but you have to no, you can't say that. You really can't say that. You got to, there's a time to say that, but this is probably not the time to say that. So when you say things like, what's the last thing you say to somebody? I'm happy that I always say, I love you to Chase before he goes off. And I'm sure many, many, many parents do. But imagine that guilt of you being mad at your kid who's not really a bad kid, and then something like that does happen. I would die 1,000 deaths if I had cussed Chase out about his report card, kiss him on the forehead, said I love you, and then he don't come home. I wouldn't care if he got 19 Fs every day for the rest of his life as long as he was alive. Right. So then you wonder about the perspective, right, Keisha? Because if you say in one breath, I would have him here making Fs every day. I could see him now. Well, why I can't make Fs every day then?
Why are you hating you so much? I'm alive. I am yet alive.
Okay, I asked that boy what he wanted to be, and that boy say, alive. And then I made the post. And I'm responsible for that. He ain't even got to do nothing.
I pride myself on, like you, I'm very conscious of the words I choose.
Right.
Because, not just for the sake of, this could be the last thing I ever say to them, but more so for what I wanted their expectation of their treatment in the world to look like. Like if I call my son a fuck boy, if I say that to my son, which I never have, never will. But if I said that to my son, I've given every other person on the earth permission to say that to my son. So I've never called them out of their names.
Right.
Because I didn't want to give permission to the rest of the world to do it. Yeah, and I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but to me, it says, however we treat our sons, however we handle them and address them, is what permission we've given the world to handle and address them. And I just refuse to be the mom who gives permission for someone to be disrespectful or belittling to my child.
I also wouldn't want my child to get used to it. Right, exactly.
And make it the norm.
And think people that love him speak to him like that.
Yes.
Definitely. Yes. Definitely.
So that has been, and again, I guess the balance is where the challenge comes in. Because sometimes you do need to be able to say, what the fuck are you thinking, dude? Like, what the fuck? How the whole fuck did you manage to fail everything? Like, how did you manage it?
I do speak to Chase very real, quite like that. Now, how he flunked everything, like you were there all day. Like, like I do speak to him like that, but that poignant name calling, and you know when you're coming from a place of menace, when you're coming from a place of contempt, you know that feeling. And I think as good mamas, we toss that to the side for sure.
Right. Absolutely.
Um, but you definitely got to watch your words. But there are times when he does things that look fuck boyish,
Okay.
and you say something like, "If I didn't know better, that looked real puss ass." That is not the characteristic of a grown man. That is not the characteristic of a boy in control. That is the characteristic of a fuck nigga. Only
Okay.
fuck niggas do stuff like that. So never, yes, of course, never call him, but I have used many an adjective to make a comparison of who I don't want you to be. And because my mama never said nothing, so I never learned how to gingerly say anything, I just rather give it to you real than not give it to you at all. So there are some times where my language may reflect that, but it's never at him. I feel what you're saying. But I definitely use language like that when I'm trying to make real ass comparisons, and I ain't got time to pull out no sugar because you got to get this lesson right now. That
Right.
behavior right there, no, bruh. We don't do it like that in the 305.
Right. I got you. I got you on that.
You
Because
know,
you
feel
know,
guilty of that. Are you keeping it too goddamn real? Jesus Lord. You know, are you trying to be his daddy? Are you taking over that role? You need to get him, girl. You know, I got told I need to give him a mentor so he don't get confused of me stepping into this type of role. I'm like, all right, the guilt, girl, the guilt. Moving on.
the guilt is serious. I think for single moms, is has been the fact that you're trying to find that balance. And when I say single mom, I mean I you live in my home and your father and I do not share the same space.
Right.
I have had a village
Mm-hmm.
that has stepped in, stepped up,
Right.
and stepped out to
Mm-hmm.
help me
Hey.
achieve the goals and the necessities of being their mother and making sure that they were taken care of. So I can never just disregard the fact that I've had help.
Mm-hmm.
I won't disregard that fact.
You know
But
where? Go ahead.
when there's no dad in the home,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that as moms, like you said, you don't want to come too hard.
Mm-hmm.
You want to say it and keep it as real as possible.
Right.
But then you don't want to run the risk of kind of backing them in a corner where they just shut you out and down. I think wherein girls are very verbal with all those feelings that they have about things, boys tend to internalize a lot.
And then we don't want to be the black women that turns them off.
Exactly.
But we definitely got to watch how you talk to them, right? Because they'll fuck around and date white girls for the rest of their lives just to spite us.
Well, my youngest son only dates white girls.
Oh,
Only. Um, and here's what I've come to appreciate about that.
yeah.
And
Please tell me
I
what you
tell
come to
my
appreciate
sisters,
about that.
listen, I tell my sisters all the time, there is a lesson to be learned in finesse that only a white girl can teach you, because they were raised in finesse. They were raised to finesse. We were raised to get the shit done. Like that's a whole it's a whole different show, right? So
That's a whole other be lie. But listen, real quick, going back to the single mama thing. You know, one of the pitfalls of being a single mama, you don't get to share your fears about parenting with the guy you made him with. Like, I would have loved to have a real conversation with my fellow parent that I made him with about his approach to school, about his approach to learning, especially since his daddy had the same kind of academic record. It would have been cool to kind of know I'm not in this by myself. So even if this thing fly, I got somebody to share it with. If it fail, I got somebody to fix it with. It's that whole, all of this is 100% me, whether they go right or wrong. And it's like,
So
the
why didn't you have that? Tell me this.
sure.
Why didn't you have that with his dad? Why didn't you have, even though you guys were not a couple anymore, why didn't you have that type of dialogue and that conversation, the ability to have that conversation with him while you're raising
Be-
your
Uh,
son?
I mean, if you have to ask me, his daddy would take every opportunity to point out it was my fault. So my thing was, I'm not here for this. I'm here for help. So if you're not here to help me,
Okay.
so it was fruitless.
So for me, I felt like, again, my mom was always like this, you know, and my mother, because my mother feels like, I raised you to be strong. I raised you to be independent. You don't need nobody. That's your baby, mama's baby, daddy's baby. Get your
Yeah.
shit together. Take care of that boy. Do what need to be done. So to me, asking for help was a sign of weakness.
Mm.
You know, when I think about the thing, I would go back if I could fix it. I would have fixed that. The
Yeah.
fact that even though my oldest son's father and I were not going to be together, that we could have been together in the sense of we will always have open dialogue. We will always be here and be warriors for our kid together, in
You
spite of who they sleep with, married, doesn't matter.
and you
But the
know,
fact that we need to know that for the sake of this kid, we need to
yeah.
have a united front on how to get him from the womb
Hmm.
right through to his own adult life and allow him to be free to make his decisions and be confident in the decisions he make as a man.
Yeah.
That needed to happen, but because there was a point in my life where I felt like this is weakness. If I'm asking this man who doesn't want to be in my life, if
Mm.
I'm asking him for help, now I'm showing my weakness.
Oh no, I was
And
good to
that,
ask for help because I was always I ain't making by myself. I was hell bent on that. My mama was big on that whole you don't need him, you college educated, you could do this. I was like, but I didn't do this by myself. So for a long time, though I was the only parent, I was doing 50%. And forgetting, hold on, it's Chase that's getting 50%. But I felt very justified because I he has two parents and I shouldn't have to fill in for him. So for a long time I didn't. I'd be like, well, his daddy should be here.
my mother felt like I overdid it. And I'll give you an example.
Sometimes I feel like I underdid it.
My son was a baby. He would go to his dad's house, and my mom would say, put him in a pamper and a t-shirt.
Mm.
When he get over there, they can figure out pants, a shoe, whatever it is they need to figure out. But you work too hard to have to provide for him, to send all your hard-earned money over there when he goes to his dad's house. And in my mind, and I don't regret this to this day though, in my mind, the only person that suffers as a result of me not doing it is the baby. Like his daddy don't need a diaper.
Right, right.
His daddy don't need his pacifier, but
Mm-hmm.
my baby needs it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending his things with him because he needs it, not because his daddy does.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, that was as much fight as I had in me when it came down to standing toe to toe with my mama about what to do next. So
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't asking for help. I overdid some things,
Mm-hmm.
meaning bought too many clothes the child never even got a chance to wear because he was growing too fast, because
Mm-hmm.
I was scared to not have something. He need to go somewhere and I don't have an outfit for him to put on, and he need another shoe. And, all those fears that I allowed to take over took away from my ability of just enjoying being his mom at the time.
Right.
Because I was so afraid of the failure of right now, of the bad report card,
Mm.
of, what if he gets held back in school? What if he don't pass the FCAT? Oh, Jesus. What
See,
if? Because
I
that would be a reflection on my ability to be a good mom if he wasn't super successful.
right. I didn't want to be to blame for Chase's failure. So I would distance myself from it. So just like my mom was like, yes, your schoolwork, you get it done. I'm gonna go to my job and get that done. And that was it. Like she was not involved with it at all. So I know that when I saw that he was struggling, I should have at that point instilled study habits or something. But I kept a distance and was just like, that is yo. It was more, I kept thinking to myself, he doesn't want to. And I still think he doesn't want to. But I feel like there was somewhere in there I was supposed to step in and offer some type of structure instead of just always discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I teach him how to learn? And then the other side of me is like, well, is that your responsibility to teach him how to learn? But do I say that because I want to distance myself from the failure? because if it's his, then it's not mine. But you do have a hand in that. So I struggle with, where did I fail to step in and turn this around? And could I have? But now you will never find out.
Right. Right.
So it's that guilt of, am I too late?
With my son, I had to go back. I talked to my oldest son. This was the funny part. I called my oldest son and we had a heart to heart, because my oldest son always says to me, Mom, you gave me anxiety disorder, because I used to be on him with a homework assignment like, no, hell no, we ain't get no B, not no A minus. No, you need an A plus. You need to be on top of the game, But I had to take a step back and look at, how does my child learn? Guri, which is my youngest son, he has to touch it. He has to touch it. Math is not a thing you can touch. He has to touch it in order to learn. He can take your whole house apart and put it back together, because as long as he can touch it, he can learn from it. Well, the way our school is set up, schools are set up, it does not feed that type of learner.
Right.
Because that's not the way the curriculum is. It's impossible in that sense. So I agree with you. Like, I distance myself sometimes, because I feel like, okay, I've provided you with the internet. You got a laptop, you got a desktop, you got an iPhone, you got paper, pens, a calculator on your phone, on the computer, in your hand. What else the hell you want me to do?
It's your grade. Why I gotta
your grade?
Right.
But again, I look at him and I say, this is still my son.
Right.
My son. So what can I do? How can I help you be successful beyond this moment? Like, what happens next? Tell me this, Felicia. What if he graduate literally by the skin off a cow's ass? Like, literally just barely get it. Just like you need a 0.3 and he get a 0.259999999. We're going to round that thing up and get him across the stage.
Well, luckily, I've already told myself, unless something happens, because I heard boys, bloom late. So there's still time, girl. There's still time.
Yes.
But if it keeps going like this, if you will, his mama has had very good jobs with very good companies. I got him hooked up either way.
Well, I might need to call you then.
I can get him a nice entry level, though. He's not starting.
The mailroom will be just fine. He's good with alphabetical order.
I got his job. Yeah, I got his job lined up at 16. He'll get that experience, and I know exactly where he's going to transition at 18. And if he listens to me, he'll have a whole career and never have to see school again.
Okay.
And I'm willing.
So let me ask you,
if it's behind, we'll just put in some effort. Go ahead.
when you think about step parents, because you getting married is definitely. I hear you talking about, Mr. Martin is out there. He out there.
He over here in Miami right now.
He over there in Miami right now. So how do you feel about step parents and they come into, you've had Chase, and he's been there with you. Chase is now 16, right?
15.
So tell me this. When the stepdaddy come into the picture, how much do you allow him to say and kind of like guide, in the sense of
100%?
Your disciplining of Chase has been questionable sometimes. So what happens when new daddy comes in the door and he's like, yeah, we're gonna turn all this shit around? Like,
but remember now, that's what I wanted, right? Remember, that's why I chose his daddy, because I understood what I was lacking, and I understood the quagmire I was going to find myself in, torn between loving the child and trying to raise a child. So when I chose his stepfather, my boyfriend now, same qualities. When we met, Chase was 5. And, once I started to date him and realized he was a little bit more than, he was going to be a little more, I straight up asked him, you got to love my son like he's yours. Definitely. And once he was like cool and he showed improved, I mean, he has been a phenomenal example in his life. The one thing that he is,
does he check you on things when it comes to Chase?
Girl, I hung up on him 2 days ago. He checked me so bad. Girl, I was about to make a video on that. When your man put you in timeout, girl, that nigga put me in timeout for
So he
2 days.
got you together.
He has. Remember that video I made when I said my man told me to shut the f up.
Yeah.
That was
I
about
remember
Chase.
that.
That was about Chase. That was
Wow.
about Chase. So he go hard. That is his. So, but we for undisclosed reasons, we're living apart now. So I don't have that influence in the house.
Right.
We're gonna change that real soon though. We're gonna change that real
Okay.
soon.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah. But he still wasn't getting good grades. He still wasn't getting good grades. He just had a better attitude and better excuses. And he was putting forth a better effort. I'm sorry. He wasn't getting good grades consistently. I mean, he's not the A and B kid. But at least I get a hint of a D or C somewhere. And his conduct completely improved under Stepdaddy Watch. But I can't get over that hump to say, he's a kid that goes to school every day and does what he's supposed to do. I can't say that. And he has no explanation for why. And it just baffles me. And it's that whole thing of why do I not know how to fix this? Like, why? What? That whole don't know. And as a parent, you're supposed to know. You're supposed to know your kid. And I do not know what it's going to take to spark him up.
Now that I have a 23-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
my conversation, of course, has changed because he's 23. Like, there's only so damn much I can say at all about him. He will disconnect the whole. Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about this no more, Mama. I love you. No, but what I do love now is that he will take me full circle and say, although you were over the top and crazy out your mind over this thing right here, I love that you were this and this and this and this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you're that for him. So give yourself and give him a break.
Right.
Once you've said it, he heard you. You don't have to keep saying that same thing. Like, he saw his report card before you did, so he knows when shit just didn't come together.
But why they don't change?
Don't make him want to lie to you about it, And I just, I at some point, I even know in dating situations, I used to be like, I just hate to be lied to. But now I feel like these kids are a little too honest. So all Chase want to do is live. Right? And my youngest son, he just wants to be free. Like, he just wants to feel.
Who is blaming you?
Even his resolution was, how about I just homeschool? Like, how about I do that? And just give up this whole classroom situation. Like, let's just give that up.
We gotta go think of different ways to do it.
And I'm like, so you can't study with a teacher. But I'm going to believe that you're going to independently. Like, how crazy am I supposed to be?
Then,
you're
like, boy, I know you, right? I've been watching you for 15 years.
Thank you.
It's going to make you, okay.
Now, we have a comment and the comment says, there's no punishment for bad grades. Kids are still allowed to play video games. They're allowed to go and spend the night with friends. So what is the incentive to do better? Now, that's my...
Chase has been without his PlayStation for the past month. And I'm hoping on April 12th I see a difference. He has not had a phone, an iPad, or a PlayStation. But I've done that before.
Thank you.
I've done that before.
Thank you.
I took his whole toy box outside when he was like 9. The entire toy chest, Keisha. The entire toy chest with the toys in it. That boy cried for 2 minutes and then convinced himself, you 8 years old now, them toys were for babies. You don't need them anyway.
And moved on. He overcame it and moved on.
I should be mad or proud. He didn't dwell. He did not dwell in the land of the unknown, girl.
What a past.
Bill Milk here came out. You okay, Mom? I'm crying. When I bought half that shit. Got a little neighbor kid having a good time. But anyway, but it's like, don't tell me I don't try. As far as the discipline and consequences for getting bad grades, I'm 100% on that. Now, I may not have been the best study partner, but I don't let him slide. But you gotta, do you know this boy was on punishment so long, I forgot he was on punishment? I forgot. It was just, it had become normal of him not doing anything. I think 2 years had gone by, and I finally said, hold on. We are going to celebrate your birthday at least, because you get bad grades every 9 weeks. Like, every 9 weeks you on punishment. I want to be able to enjoy my kid.
Right.
So I was like, at least your birthday, child. We're going to, you know what, girl? I see where it came from, because I said it right there. Everybody should be celebrated for being alive. That's why.
There it is.
I'm
And
a
there it
horrible
is.
mother, Keisha. I'm a horrible mother.
There it is. You know, for me, punishment. I used to spank butts, yell and scream, take away toys, you know, and I can tell you that it did not result in a whole lot of permanent.
There you go.
You know,
They might have been good for a week, 3
right.
days, but
And
no.
I felt like all of this constant punitive action is preparing you to be ready to sit in prison. Like, I can't even imagine what other good truly came of it.
And it was like, is that all parents do? I am literally punishing him every day. Like, it was just, it felt bad for me, for him to live under that. I was just like, this is just constant punishment all the time. And that's when I started looking into, okay, does he have dyslexia? Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, because nobody could willingly be under these consequences. It's got to be something physically or mentally wrong. Because who would take this? Who would take 2 9 weeks straight of no PlayStation? Who would do that? And then when you go through all the tests and all the teachers say, this boy sit down for standardized tests and blow them out the water, but won't do his everyday classwork, the child is not lacking knowledge, lacking execution.
And Zuri's teacher have shared the same thing. You're telling me he doesn't have discipline problems. He's very polite, well-mannered. He knows the work, but trying to get him to sit down to put an essay together, not happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your mother talks and reads and writes for a living. Like, this is something I do and something I love. Right. And helping you get an essay, anything that got to be written down. Now, math, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I may not be the person you want to ask.
Right. We're going to Google that.
But when it comes down to anything that you got to write, any amount of research, I'm here. I'm here for it with you, and it is disappointing. It's heartbreaking when my son once upon a time told me I didn't give him credit for the grade he got that was good, which was PE. So I'm supposed to celebrate you for playing.
Keisha, I get this. Well, I got a good grade that one day. Not even one marking period, dog. One day. A day. That boy give me one day and be like, take it, lady.
And run with it. Run like the wind. Because this may not happen.
And tell it to you with a straight face. Like, what you mean? That's great. You should hold on to that. That's the problem. You always look at it in negative. You gotta look at
on that day you mad, you need this to fall back on. So focus.
Is 1 is more than 0.
Now, let me ask this. Beyond grades, do you feel that you are responsible for all of the successes and failures? Like, if he winds up with bad credit?
No. No. I'm sorry. Let me be. I feel responsible for his failures, not his successes. I'm proud of his successes, but I don't feel like they have anything to do with me. At the end of the day, I can give you all the tools. You can put the toolbox at your feet, but if you do not pick up the hammer, you will not build a house. So as far as life and knowing this stuff and that stuff and being a good person and treating women well and being kind to pets and all that stuff, he's got it. Like I said, he's a 99 out of 100. It's just those grades. But I don't ever want to take away what he has done for himself. Because like my mother, everything good about me is for her. It's because of her.
Why isn't that inclusive of the things he fails at? Why isn't that inclusive of his failures? Because like you said, if you've prepared the toolbox and set that at his feet, and he doesn't pick up the hammer, then isn't he too responsible for his failure right along with that success?
When he's older, I might be able to be okay with that. Academically, that makes all the sense in the world. Emotionally, I can't wrap my mama head around that yet.
Okay. Because I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because even for me being a lesbian,
Mm-hmm.
my grandmother said, well, how would you feel if your son came home and told you he was gay? Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like you caused that to happen because
Oh,
you messing around with girls? You know,
oh,
so
oh,
I pondered that thing for a while.
oh.
And I said, you know, here's what I'm more concerned about. It's not that he's a gay man. It's that he's a Black gay man in a world of intolerance.
Mm.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried if he's going to be the kind of man, gay, straight, or indifferent, is he going to be the kind of man that people will be proud to know? Or
Right.
is he going to be a messy, just can't get right in the club, busting a bottle on the side of the table to cut somebody with it type of man? You know, so to me, sexuality would not be reflective of my parenting.
Right.
But the man he becomes, I feel, is a reflection of my parenting.
Yeah.
So if he's the man that's calling women bitches and hoes,
That's a reflection of your
that's a
parenting.
reflection of my parenting.
Right.
But who he chooses to love and sleep with, whether she's white,
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, you name it, I've tried to instill in my sons to love people and be good to those who are good to you.
Right.
And unfortunately, the people good to you may not always look like you.
Right.
And sometimes the ones that look like you will be the ones that want to tear you down. So
Mm-hmm.
be good to the people who've been good to you. That has been my advice to them. So when my son tells me this is his girlfriend and she's not Black, that didn't look, I didn't look upon that as negativity from my parenting perspective.
Not at
I
all.
looked at it as when I met the young lady and I'm like, you know what? He didn't bring home somebody he was ashamed of.
Right. You did
Intelligent young
good.
lady, you know, beautiful young woman, and he introduced her to his mother. So that says he was also proud to say, this right here is my mama, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that's the way I looked at it. But you know, in so many ways I feel you, because when our children are successful, it's like, okay, I got that right, check it up, check the box,
Right. Right.
got that
Right.
right. But when they don't get it right, when it doesn't go right, and the grades are just concrete evidence that something didn't go right, then it just feels like we missed something somewhere and we need to get it right. What is your advice to new moms? What do you say to new moms?
Take it one damn day at a time, because there is no book. And definitely enjoy those 0 to 4 years. They will be old and aggravating way longer than they will ever be cute and cuddly. I mean, damn, they're trying to eat them. Like, just love on them. But the one thing I love about that period of time is I did not waste that period of time. I
Mm-hmm.
gave 100 kisses. Like, I was totally into him as a baby. So don't waste that time, because they'll be this age, this tight, this size forever. you know,
Never.
they'll only be your baby for that period of time. But they'll always be your baby, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. My therapist a couple years ago told me there has to come a point where you can't stand them or you'll
Mm-hmm.
never let them go. Like that has to happen. So
Yeah.
if you're at that stage where they are teenagers and they have made you question birth control all over,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, that is supposed to happen, because otherwise, if they stay cute and cuddly, then you could never let them go to be in the world that they need to, that you are preparing them to live in.
Right.
So they have to come to a place where you almost can't stand them so that you could let go and let
Right.
them live. But my advice to moms, I'm with you, Felicia. While they're little, hug them, kiss them, validate them, tell them they're beautiful and they're smart and they are funny and capable of anything.
Yep.
Like, don't limit their creativity, don't limit their curiosity about the
Mm-hmm.
world at large,
Mm-hmm.
because the kids of today, I'm not going to be cliche and say they are our future. I'm going to say that they're going to look at the world in a way that we were asking for permission to do even a third of.
Right.
You know, when I see these kids and the march they did, March for Our Lives, while it saddens me that they had to even think about it, the fact that they didn't wait for mommy and daddy to make that happen for them, these kids got together and said, listen,
This is
we're
what we're
going
gonna
to
do.
turn 18. We're going to vote your ass out of office. We're not having this. Our lives mean more than that. And that gives me so much, that renews my hope, you know, in our future, for our future. So while they're little, give them every ounce of attention, every moment. The job will be there and you probably won't be on it anymore. I have worked enough jobs to know no
Right.
job lasts forever. Your loyalty is top. So get out there and give your children, give them your undivided attention, give them your time. You will not regret the things you did. You will only regret what you didn't do with it.
That's a great way to end it.
So, Felicia, I want to thank you, baby doll, because the fact that you said what I was thinking out loud, it gave me the strength to even do this segment tonight.
Because when you do what we do, right? Be on this social media thing, kind of an influencer, doing this and doing that. People think things like this don't affect you. And
Yes.
you can't have real moments like that. And that day, that was my way of throwing my hands up in the air on social media, like, yo, I can't be by myself.
No.
I just can't. So thank you.
So we will, this will not be our only time having this conversation. I really think this needs to turn into a mommy guilt brunch because
let's not dwell in
we need to get. The reason why I say that is because this is one of a lot of my moms online have been really silent. Now my inbox is blowing up, but nobody didn't want to comment because it's still hard to have this conversation. And I think that the message that we want to get across is just that you're not alone. Like as moms, we are not alone. Every mom has felt some part of what you're feeling.
Having these feelings doesn't make me or anyone else think you love your child any less.
Yes.
Like everybody told me on Facebook, if you didn't feel this way, then I'd worry about you.
Yes.
You didn't worry about the kind of job you were doing. If you didn't question yourself sometimes, I definitely worry about you. So thank you very much for having me on the conversation.
So how do people follow you, Fee? Tell us.
So you can follow me at Fee TV on Facebook or Fee_TV on Instagram. And
All right.
Personal page.
Perfect. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is on youtube.com / The Curve Unplugged.
The Curve Unplugged.
We're going to have some, exclusive content on our YouTube channel that you will not find on Facebook Live. So we want you all to subscribe. And I thank you all for tuning in. Again, special thanks to tonight's guest, Miss Fee, your girl Fee. I appreciate you, baby doll. Hope to see you soon. And good night, everyone. Thanks.
Good night.